Welcome to Monday, folks.
Monday, a fine day to paint. Flapjack, Nickelsack,
Flapsack Nickeljack.
Paint Liquor, Big Bob, Kyle
Never heard of 'em.
Sparks, T.
Never heard of
Schmid.
them. Who are these people? These aren't real people. This is AI.
No, it's IA.
A bunch of IA.
It's definitely a bunch of IA.
Intelligent artificials.
We just patented that, everybody out there. Slayer Street, welcome in. Welcome in, everybody.
What's going on, nerds?
Yeah, that's right. It's a Monday.
It is a Monday.
It is Monday. Awkwardish, Rattle
It's been
Can.
a good day so far.
It's been a great day.
Not too shabby.
Not too shabby.
Not too shabby. I didn't get any painting done over the weekend. Hope everybody else had a wonderful weekend. I did, however, build a model.
You did.
I built this.
Look at that thing. That thing is dope. That thing is cool. What is that, Jason?
That's Sanguinius.
Oh.
That doesn't look like Bill Nye the Science Guy. Actually looks like a Sanguinius. So, since GW can't make their own models look cool, somebody else had to.
That's a very cool model. And
Yeah, it's the dopest representation of Sanguinius yet. It's superb.
Yeah,
Spear of Telesto.
Yeah.
The sword.
Cool. It's good quality, too.
Oh, the resin is fantastic. It's from RTLW.
I did not think that was resin when I looked at it. I'm like, oh, that's like a plastic
It looks like hard plastic. Yeah, it's
does.
done in such a smooth, nice resin.
Yes.
And their mold quality is fantastic.
It's fantastic.
Yeah, it's great. Great model. Great model.
Synthetic Paint Liquor. Welcome in, everybody. It is Monday.
Big fan.
Huge fan.
Big, huge. Huge. It's a huge fan. I'm a big, huge fan.
Hoosier, that is
Sanguinius.
a Sanguinius model.
He actually looks like, like in the stories, Sanguinius is like this vision to behold. His aura is such that it like makes you cry. He's so beautiful.
Really?
And so like an air of kingliness around him, even more so than any other Primarch. And then Forge World released a model of him that literally he looks like Bill Nye the Science Guy.
Oh.
It's the worst skinny face and the proportions are all off. The armor doesn't look like it's actually being
Botched
worn.
it.
The armor on those models, a lot of them, other than the ones in like Terminator armor for the Forge World Primarchs, all make you feel like it's a body, not armor. Like it's too skinny. Mm-hmm. Fulgrim was that way. Sanguinius is that way. A few of the other ones are. The Lion was good.
Yeah.
Right? The Lion, his armor felt bulky.
Yeah, he feels big.
Yeah, his power armor felt bulky.
Yeah.
But this Sanguinius model would sit sidelong with.
Oh wow!
That one
Look
really
at that!
well.
Look at that thing, man.
So,
that's such a cool.
So my two favorite Primarchs.
I'm big into lore right now. I'm re-listening to the Silmarillion, and I just got to the Baron and Luthien story.
Mm-hmm.
I just finished the Fingolfin versus Morgoth.
Oh, yeah.
Such a cool story. So that's it is a dope model.
Yeah, so my I'm really stoked. I've always wanted to paint a Sanguinius. None of them have been worth a damn.
That one.
And this one's awesome. It had a lot of weapon choices, too. It had the sword that the Emperor gave him, the Spear of Telesto. Unfortunately, those had to go in both in the right hand, so I couldn't have it be both of those weapons. I would have loved to have had the sword and the spear. You could have him have two swords. The short sword that he has came in a version that was the hilt that goes inside the scabbard, which was a nice touch. So the scabbard is by itself. The sword actually slips into the scabbard. The hilt has a little bit of a sword end on it that goes in there and clicks in. Or there was a sword for this hand, the short sword on this hand, the long sword on this hand. Spear of Telesto, open hand. Spear of Telesto, and hand with his. He has a beamer, projection beamer that is like a. I don't know if it's a one use, but it's like a one-use archaeotech weapon that he has, and I just opted for the open hand. It had a good I just beat the crap out of this demon I'm stomping on his head, Cabanda or whatever his name is, as he slices him in half.
Source: this is Sanguinius from where again?
Artel W. Actually the same company that did
right.
this one, the Antonio El Tigre model.
Yeah.
As a bust. So, great stuff.
Good stuff.
Great, good stuff, Christopher.
Hey.
Great, great, good stuff. So, there you go. He protrudes, hold my beer energy. Yeah, right? So, like, it's incredible. And, the whole thing with him is, there's in the lore, if you don't follow the 30K heresy style lore, because Sanguinius, of course, died in the heresy, spoiler alert. He takes out a couple of titans on his own. Really? He takes out a warlord titan by slicing its head in half with the spear of Telesto on his own.
Dang.
Yeah, and then they take out a what's the bigger titan?
The War Master?
No, that didn't exist. It's the warlord and the Imperator. They take out an Imperator because they board it. Wow. They jump out of a Thunderhawk, he and his entourage, and they board it, and they massacre everyone inside of it and bring it down. It's it's crazy.
That's cool.
Kyle Sparks, awesome. Yeah, the texture trainers are great. Yep. Colonel, what's going on? Little Billy says, is that Sanguinius?
Sanguinius.
Close, but yes. We'll take it. That's close enough. So we'll be all right. Your source says, you're with Jen, it's just gibberish. It's just a bunch of words that don't mean anything lined up in a straight line, and they tell stories. It's funny how that works when you're creating fiction. So. So anyway, so I have this.
That's very cool.
And then we have some other models here that are actually really cool, too. We have this guy.
Yep. Ooh,
right.
That's a cool model.
It's a very cool sculpt. I still have to do some cleanup. It's 3D print. This is a old-time friend of mine who used to work at GW the same time I did. Has a game coming out, and this is one of the characters from his game. It is it has a 40K feel to it, but his game is what would I call it? It's I think the way he names it is that it is a future fantasy world. Mm-hmm. It's based on a novel that he wrote, and it's future fantasy. He's also an ex-NFL player, so he's got a pedigree of some awesome
future
stuff. Future fantasy,
yeah,
meaning that he has like a whole magic system akin to if he were building like Lord of the Rings. He has a whole magic system and stuff that is so integral, obviously, to fantasy. So he's got a magic system. I think he said there's dragons in it. Of course, it's men, elves, orcs, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So it has a very fantasy tinged vibe to it, but it is in a world where, like the planet that where are some of the other models? There's some other models that I have here.
There's another box over there. Is that
I'll show you some models, Chad. I got to paint a few of these. And but there's like wizards. So it's a red panda.
Oh, okay.
He's a red panda, but he's a wizard.
That'd be a cool D&D character.
So that's what this thing feels like. It feels like a bunch of D&D stuff.
Yeah.
And then
that orc came out. That orc was really cool, though.
Yeah, and then there are Spartans.
Yeah.
Which are the military class or caste on the planet in question. They're the good guys are the Spartans.
Okay.
They have a very Space Marine-y vibe to them. Right, this one, his sword broke off, but here's one that has a sword.
Ooh, I really like that. I like that.
Big Spartan bro.
Very Spartan, Space Marine-esque kind of deal.
Yeah.
I really like that one.
Yeah, so big Spartan. You gotta glue his sword back on. And then they also have like just little like heroic infantry style dudes that feel very like almost like like Imperial Guard or a little bit more buffed up, a little bit more big. But some neat stuff. Very 40K-ish feeling.
Nice. I do like those Spartan sculpts. Those are cool. They're all cool.
Yeah, the Spartan sculpts are really neat.
Lumberjack Tim, we didn't get to play Age of Angara this week, but we did watch a tutorial video, and my girl is excited to play. Nice.
She's already thinking about who she's going to pair up.
Very nice.
She already got a good mind for what she wants to do. She read the cards.
Read the cards.
Got a plan how you're going to kick your butt. Go ahead and put Sanguinius, or whatever he's called.
Oh. Somebody was asking earlier what the specific model on Artel's name was. I think it was synthetic.
What, the name on the website? I have no idea.
What's the actual... Oh, okay, got it.
No idea. Probably Lord of Blood or something. I don't know. I don't remember. It's been forever since we got this thing in.
So you got this a while ago.
Year and a half
it might not
ago,
even,
year and a half.
It might not even be around anymore.
Probably a year and a half. It might have been a limited edition thing. I don't know.
It might be, because I actually checked them a while ago for some.
To give you an idea, I got it at the same time it came in the same order where I did this guy.
Oh, okay.
So however long ago I painted this guy,
okay,
Cherubael, it came in the order where I got Cherubael. Yeah. Which I just realized in the box they sent me an extra Cherubael, so maybe I'll find a way to give one of these away or something.
Oh.
There was an extra Cherubael model in there that I did not realize we owned, but we has another one.
Yeah, I don't know.
Cherubael.
They have some super cool. Oh, okay. So I just found it. It might be under what's called their Titans, but I don't. Oh, it's like a pack. Like you got to build it out. Interesting.
What do you mean?
I was looking at Artel's website. I was just curious.
You have to build it out? How do you mean?
I see a pack with those wings, the head, and the spear.
Oh, maybe it has like weapon options or something for him?
Yeah.
I don't remember. When they released him, it was a big pre-release thing. And I remember getting that during the pre-release. And you got the whole kit all at once. So maybe that was the only time they offered it like that. I don't know.
Yeah.
I have no idea. I'm not tied in with them. Don't know what they do over there.
Cool model.
Crazy kids.
Crazy kids.
All those freaking crazy kids. I've had no idea what they do. Not trying to pretend that I know what they're doing over there. I built the model. It's going to be fun to paint. It's going to be miles and miles of non-metallic gold to match my Blood Angels.
Oh, you going to try to match the Blood Angels?
Well, that's what he's for, right? He's for my pseudo 30K, 40K army, so he will go along with
with all the rest of the guys.
Right. So if I'm playing, the whole goal with these is to build an army that I can play 30K with, even though I'll never play the game.
Yeah.
But he's supposed to go with these guys.
That's cool.
So I did my whole army in Primaris size Heresy armor.
Yeah.
So, like this guy, and I don't know where my black Assault Marine is and all that stuff. We got to grab all those miniatures and bring them over here at some point. But
they're all on that table.
They're on like Mark III and Mark II and Mark III armor, which is nice. Nice.
So, Jason, what are we doing today?
Today, I am continuing with painting the highlights and detail colors on these guys. So, for right now, I'm jumping in and immediately tackling the shirt on this guy. So, I've got a little bit of ivory and dark gray blue that I'm going to do and just kind of catch my highlight areas here.
Welcome in, everybody. If you've got questions, be sure to tag Monument Hobby so that I see them. Been working on this unit a little bit last week. You can check it out from start to finish.
Yeah, just showing some ways that I go about thinking in terms of if I'm going to paint, entire army, what really kind of gives me the inspiration to get going, how I keep it motivated throughout, which for me is tough when painting units. So this batch painting or assembly line painting is a big help for that.
Okay, Punisher, gotcha. Yeah, you got to add the wings. I, I still swear Jason has a picture in the attic.
I what?
That was from the Muse. Going back up here. Lumberjack, it was a busy weekend. She didn't even get to study, which was because my paint time when we were together. Nice. Yeah, you guys will have a fun time with it. It's a fun game. Can't wait. Maybe this weekend. Nice. Age of Honor is a very fun game. Tech Elf with the sub. Thank you so much. The resub for 8 months for a total of 12. Appreciate it. 1 year.
Crazy people.
These people are...
They're
good,
nuts.
Good crazy people.
No way to say it other than you're nuts. All of you. Anybody that could like us for longer than about 15 minutes is
15?
Absolutely just bat crazy.
Just 15 minutes?
15 minutes is all I give.
That's all you're giving people.
That's all I give us. 15 minutes. Seems fair.
You heard it here, chat.
Seems fair.
15 minutes. Avian, well, I'm more of a peanut, which is technically not a nut. I don't think you're nut, chat.
Peanut is a nut. It's literally in the name.
It's in the name, Avian.
It's right there.
It's in the name. Nuts grow on trees. Where do peanuts grow, eh? Big Bobzilla. That's it. I'm out. All the verbal lashing. Come back. Oh, Lumberjack Tim. Question about Angra. If I like characters like Gunjack and Lee Zin, I think, and Tekken Tag, what characters would you suggest?
It doesn't play that way. Mm-hmm. There's not really corollaries to that. There are, however, like beasts as a set are very into maintaining dominance in the front line, dealing damage, and maintaining initiative so that you're always in the position to decide what happens each round. So I would say beasts might be a good place to start. But the thing with Angra is that it's really all looking at the abilities of a particular character and pairing them up with another character to see what combos you can pull off. It's a total combo game. Mm-hmm. Right? How can I rope-a-dope my opponent into thinking they're safe and then blow them up for massive amounts of damage? All right, I got to think about what I want to... I've highlighted the pants. I need to figure out what I'm going to highlight, my final highlight for all of the brown that we did on the helmet and vest area. And I think because that's a little bit more of a yellowy brown, that I'm almost thinking it's something like a caramel brown.
Yeah, it's a cool color.
So let's try caramel brown and see if that gives us enough pop on the edges.
Warbat, so I've been goofing off with a few of your paints. Love the bronze and dark silver so far. I have to ask, what is the wizard's butt sticker meaning? I am unsure if I should sport the sticker on my hard hat at work. I need a story behind it.
You definitely should sport that on your hard hat,
should.
Is the answer. And don't ask questions.
That's it. That's your answer.
I'm going to let chat answer this one and see what we get. I'm going to put this in chat's hands. Chat.
Oh, man.
Chat. Give him the story. Give him the scoop.
Uh-oh, Papa Chicken. Good day, Monument Hobbies. Good day, chat. I learned something interesting about migratory birds the other day. You know how sometimes the V, they fly in longer on one side. Do you know why? It's because there are more birds on that side. Now you know. Papa Chicken, words from a scientist. That's a good one. I'll give you that. You only get one of those, Papa Chicken. You only get one. Wizard's butt is wizard's butt. What color is wizard's butt anyway? And Warbats, oh good lord. Yeah. Other Ghost Hunter, other paint companies name their paints weird things. Then they don't describe the color like wizard's butt. There you go.
That's exactly it.
That
exactly
is
it.
The least. That's the scientific answer there.
Gold star.
Give me 15 reasons why they fly in a V. Oh my gosh.
Gold star for that answer, by the way. Yeah, the wizard's butt was my was a joke that came about in the first commercial that Chris did for us, actually, back before you worked for us.
That's right.
We did a commercial where I walked through the office and, very Dollar Shave Club or whatever.
That style.
And
tongue in cheek.
I walked through, and at one point in time, we had my nephew in a dunk tank.
Yeah.
And we did a quick stint on, we like to keep things simple around here, kind of like how we name our paints. And, the goal was to always have things like red is named Bold Pyro Red because that's the pigment we use is Pyro Red. Orange is called orange, blue is called blue, so that you know what you're getting as opposed to Dragon Tooth Yellow or just Dragon Tooth. Like, who even knows what that means?
Yeah.
And so we did a joke where my nephew was like, what the heck kind of color is wizard's butt anyway? And then I dunk him in the dunk tank. So it just stuck as a cool way to point fun at our industry for making idiotic names for colors that don't let you know what color you're using.
Yeah. That was, let's see, was 2 years ago. Almost 3 years ago.
Gosh.
Yeah. My 1 year's this week, Jason.
And no, Gabe wants to treat you to lunches.
No. XL, thank you so much for that resub. Appreciate it. Oh, here's a question from Lil Billy. And I also have a link for you, Little Billy, after I answer this question for you via Jason, via you. Quick question. Is Payne's Gray dark gray blue darkened or blue black lightened? Working on some non-metallic black and wanted to know how to proceed. And I'm going to send you this link to a non-metallic black video as well.
It is neither of those things that you question. Mm-hmm. Payne's Gray is its own formulation. It is a how to put it? It's a super dark blue,
mm-hmm.
right? That borders on black. So it could have been called blue black, right? But there is legitimately a color called Payne's Gray. So, we didn't opt for that nomenclature, but it is a tremendous color that is workable with those. You could use Payne's Gray as a base and then do blue black over it. The blue black is a little brighter. So that's a choice you have. But I typically use Payne's Gray in league with white blue and do a lot of mixing. The link that he sent you will probably show you that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely take a look at that, Little Billy. That non-metallic black armor workup was a compilation of 4 or 5 streams. No, actually, no, not that many, but I think 3 or 4. Anyway, it's a great way to approach non-metallic black armor.
This caramel brown is perfect.
Is Payne's Gray a pigment? Asks Source.
No, it is a blended hue. So it's a combo of pigments.
I straight up told my FLGS why I didn't buy other paints. The color names are so dumb. Plus, PA is just too good. Be fresh. We appreciate that.
Yeah, like I knew it was like this is called Wizard's Cloak, and I don't even know what the heck that means.
Wizard's Cloak?
There was a yeah, or like Necromancer Cloak or something stupid like that. And I was like, what does that even mean? Like, depending on what color you like, that's what a Necromancer's Cloak would be. But it's the way that paint companies that don't really do anything new set their product apart from everybody else's product. And that's a vicious remark, and that's something you can take to the bank. Is that your only differentiator is the way you name your paints a lot of times. And especially in our industry, like GW does a good job of it because their names go along with the factions that those colors become a part of. So for them, while it doesn't tell me much, it does make a little bit more sense, right? But for some other companies, I'm just like, I don't understand that at all. Like, what does that even mean?
Hey, like my Necromancer wears a hot pink plaid cloak.
There you go. See? Well, then that color would have pissed you off.
Well, yeah, you're right. They've got story behind their names.
Yeah.
Everyone else is just like, who knows? This is toilet white.
Yeah, like if I pick up Jakari Black or something like that, I'm going to know what that is because it's based around a particular subset.
Yeah.
Of stuff. Now, it becomes furious when they name it and then they get rid of whatever they had that color named for, and they've done that a couple times, but not the end of the world.
Kyle Sparks looking for a non-metallic silver look for doing Mando from Shatterpoint.
Sure.
What do you use in your non-metallic silvers?
Just depends on what I'm trying to create. A lot of times I'm doing steel, so while not a silver per se, it's a white metal. And in doing that, we do a lot of the blues and blue grays. Or, for Mando, I would say that the dark neutral gray, bright neutral gray would be perfect. And then maybe highlight with white blue. Mando has a very reflective feel to the armor, I think.
Very mirror.
And so you're going to have to, add in some other colors from the environment. A lot of times he's shown with like, blues in there. So like gray blue and white blue and lighter bluish grays work very, very well for that at the same time. Starting off with Payne's Gray that we were just talking about would be a good idea. Trying to catch some of the hard edges because the shin guards are actually armored. So rather than highlighting them like we're doing the cloth, I'm trying to get a little bit more hard edge brightness on it without making them metallic, because I can assume those are like ballistic nylon or something like that, like a hard plastic. What do we got here that would be a good... Let's see if I have any models up here that are a good look for that type of steel. This model...
If you need any other ones, let me know.
I did... The steel armor on him has got a lot of that coloration, although, you can see where, because of the Nurgle feel on this, I put a bunch of oranges and the Dark Sea Ben was my starting point on this. And then I started lightening Dark Sea Ben up with white blue, I believe. Right? But I've used some yellows and greens and jades to get that coloration. but this type of armor would look good as Mandalorian armor as well. And so that base color of having something in the blue-green spectrum gives it a really nice undertone, and then pull it out up into like white-blue as a highlight. Now, I didn't go very polished on him because, again, you look at the subject matter and he's not like uber clean guy, but I still wanted to make it, fairly neat looking and give it some shine.
I love that skin.
Yeah, this model was a lot of fun to paint.
It's a really fun model. I love the eyeballs and all that too, coming off his shoulder.
Yeah. Yeah, we had a lot of fun. I don't, whatever that is, the lump of flesh with a nose. There's all sorts of like noses.
It's like
you
a
see like
shrunken
faces.
head.
That's a nose.
Oh.
He's got noses and eyes all over him. So he had like, there's another nose.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it's crazy. There's another nose and face kind of thing happening on his back, oozing flesh. Yeah, there's all sorts of weird crap on this guy. And then crows picking maggots out of his head too, which is always a nice thing. Nice touch.
Avian's got a question. There's a story that certain... One second, let me go back here. There's a story that certain colors in GW's range get retired because a certain pigment is no longer available. Thus, a new name and color is created as a, in quotes, not quite replacement. Does Monument Hobbies have a plan for certain pigments becoming unavailable or too expensive as an input?
No, we already use the most expensive pigments. So I would call BS on that because it is rare that you just have a pigment that goes away. It may not fit cost perspective, so that has a definite ring to it, right? So if you have a need like GW does to have a particular cost basis associated, and realize, gang, when I talk like this, I don't know anything about their decision making. When I was there, I did not work in the studio, even though I was privy to some of the decision making parts of that. But no, I can see it being that the pigment itself became too expensive to use anymore, and there not being a cheap substitute. That's a possibility. And so then it doesn't fit your margin dynamic, your pricing dynamic, so you have a hard time continuing that color, and you make something that's close with a pigment that is less expensive. So that I get. Right, and that seems realistic to me. We don't really. The problem with us would be that a supplier changes the pigment due to something in the manufacturing process. For a lot of synthetic pigments, will alter the color just a little bit. And when we're talking a little bit, you're talking about people that at a scientific level have to be able to, within 0.001% of hue shift, be able to guarantee a color for big companies that want this pigment to put inside of like the plastic for coatings and things, right? So the pigment supplier might be off by 0.002% on the hue on a color, and they have to notify us. But we already use the most expensive pigments in the world for the colors that we do. In most cases, that doesn't mean much. That's a dramatic way of saying that we just use the best because we were less conscious of the overall price. We wanted to deliver good value, but because we don't really have a middleman, we get to pass along value that other companies can't. So that's our safety valve. Now, that doesn't mean that something happens in the world that we can't foresee that changes the way pigment pricing goes, and then we'd all suffer from that. But as a general rule, Monument Hobbies, we kind of control our own destiny in that regard.
Vector, thank you so much for that sub. 12 months, tier 1. Resub for 10 months. That's just amazing. Vector, thank you so much.
And on the GW front, I mean, if they were smart, they would buy enough pigment to cover their bases for a long time. But I don't know that that's how they run their operation.
Paint Liquor, you know the truth. What are you talking about? Oh, you know the truth.
I know the truth.
So do I. I really know where it comes from, chat.
I know where the bodies are hidden.
That's right. Frankie's asking, does Monument Hobbies do clinics at event shows?
For the first time ever, I can say yeah. Well, not the first time in a long time, I can say yes. We will be doing one at Adepticon. I think it's sold out, but we typically do not. We do live painting at the booth where we're at. So you can come by, ask questions from myself or Jordan or one of our signature guest artists that is there at the booth. So we do try to do that as much as possible. Yeah. But we don't do a lot of classes, and that really comes down to just being a matter of time, unfortunately. But I got roped into doing a class at Adepticon this year, so I will be teaching a class.
And Frankie C, we also stream 5 days a week from 2 to 4.
Yeah, one of the bigger things is that we believe that this type of interaction that we deliver every day during the week gives you a tremendous amount of knowledge that you can take with you that sticks for longer than any class, because you get to see it on repeat. You'll come here and you can ask, if something doesn't work for you, you can come back and say, hey, what did you tell me on that? Or I was trying this thing and I can't remember, blah, blah, blah. And you can get it straight from the horse's mouth live, which I think has a better effect. I love the ability to go sit with an artist you love and get a class from them. But I think that where it really sticks is through the repetition. And we've been doing this stream for 9 years. So for us, this is just part and parcel to what we do. It's in our blood now. And so we love having the community come here and get ideas, not just on pro acryl, but just how to paint in general, right? It's to give and find that inspiration in a more readily usable manner.
Papa Chicken, are you going to be at Gamma this year? I convinced the guy at the FLGS to seek you all out. I've finally been pestering them long enough to get them to investigate carrying your product.
We are 100% at Gamma. Phil and Kyle will be there for the entire time. I will be there on Thursday, but the team will be there to answer questions, do sales orders, get them set up, teach them everything we do. Gamma kind of sells itself because there'll be enough dealers hanging out at our booth that any new dealers that come up ask us, so why should I carry your stuff? And all the other dealers at the booth go, well, let me tell you. So it's a great, we don't really have to work. We could just set our stuff up and our dealers will do the selling for us. It's pretty crazy.
Let me tell you in a song. Dun, 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 dun.
No, for some reason they go, well, here, let me give you 15 reasons.
Hey, I'm telling you, it's a good scientific way of proving something. 15.
I'll give you 15 reasons why you should carry Pro Acryl.
Chuck. Oh, look at all those deets and dudes.
See, how is it that Chuck remembers which comes first?
I knew it. I knew it as it was coming out of my mouth that was going to be said. See how I have to deal with chat? Why should we carry your product? Do you like money? Ghost Hunter, that's funny.
I mean, that's actually, it's funny you say that, but that's what one of our biggest dealers that's always there, that's his thing. He says, do you like money? He goes, because Pro Acryl sells. You can always have it on the rack. You don't have to wait for it. Like our other distributors don't ever have the paint you want in stock, right? So if you sell Pro Acryl, you've always got a full rack because it's right here in the States. And you can always say yes when a customer comes in, assuming that you order product regularly.
Chuck, should I retcon to dudes and deets? No, you should not.
It's deets and dudes, my friend. You know the drill.
Why is it that Jason always fires Chris? Why can't Chris fire Jason? Jason, you're hired. I'll do that. I'll hire Jason. He can fire me.
Vacation chat. I got excited for a split second.
You're hired.
I got excited for a split second.
Nope, you're hired.
Damn it. That means I have to work more.
Oh, Chuck, taking the dudes and the deets side. There it is. Uh-oh, Chuck.
Fired, Chuck. Oh, Chuck, you're fired.
Chuck's fired.
Chuck's fired.
Oh, Chuck.
Jade. There better be Jade in the house. Responsible party for Chuck. Will you please stand up? Come to the front of the room.
Jade's not here. Chuck and dudes and deets everywhere. That's great. Dudes and deets.
Oh, Jade.
Chuck, firing Chuck equals no more cookies. Oh.
Jade, when you show up today, I'm going to need you to handle this.
We got to be careful. Chuck's our pseudo cookie drug dealer.
Jade, Chuck's getting all mouthy.
Chuck has learned the first rule of not being seen, not to stand up. Avian, that's a very profound thing you just said there. What you doing there, Jason?
Little highlight on the flesh.
Belcor has a question. How do you choose which color to mix into the base to achieve the highlight? I see how whites give you a brighter tone, or white blue makes it brighter and colder, but wish to understand those combinations a little bit better.
Yeah, so we talk in terms of tint, tone, and shade. And let's do a quick deal on that, Chris. I think that would be very valuable.
I like it.
That is a great question, and one that is not readily apparent to people who don't have a more deeply rooted history in art in general, right? So, yeah, I was just... Like, what I'm doing right now is easy because we did a wash over the top of this model when we did the base coat, so all the colors darkened up, and so I'm able to go back and highlight my first highlight with the same color. Because you can imagine doing like this shadow flesh tone that I'm using right now. We did shadow flesh, and then we put the brown gray wash over it, and so it darkened the shadow flesh. So if you come back with shadow flesh, it's now brighter than itself as it appears on the model, because it's really a mix of the shadow flesh and the wash. Then you can highlight it with itself. That's what I'm showing as a way to paint these guys in general. If you pop one in closer, right? So you can see that I'm just going in and highlighting each color with itself pretty much, but it keeps everything, on par, and lets me have a really good highlight color without having to worry about it. But when mixing, you want to think in terms of tint, tone, and shade. Shade, we probably know what that means, adding a darker color into your base to create a shadow version of it. Tint is to take a brighter color and add it in to make a highlight, and tone is to add a gray into it generally, right? Or a neutral mid-tone that desaturates the color but keeps it at a similar brightness, okay? So there's reasons you would do all of these. So let's just take a... What do I got here? I can just do it on my hand. Let's take a color like we've been talking about Payne's Gray today. So let's take Payne's Gray. Okay. Oh, no, I don't want to do that because it's hard to shade Payne's Gray. Let's take a mid-tone.
Linux, thank you so much for that.
Let's use the caramel brown that I was just using. Okay.
Appreciate it.
So we'll put a little bit of caramel brown out. And then I'll go ahead and just use black and white to show you how that acts, right? So I'll get coal black and bold titanium white, because the ultimate tint is white because that's the brightest color you can work with, and the ultimate shade is black because that's the darkest color you work with. So you're taking the highest value and the lowest value color, adding them in, and shifting the value. When we say value, that's the level of brightness. So let's think scale 1 to 10. Let's think that value 10 is white and value 1 or value 0 is black, okay? And so on that scale, you go from super dark to super bright. And then now you have to talk about saturation, right? So there is something called the hue, saturation, and value scale. And it takes the color wheel and adds in more than just hue. The color wheel is simply hue. Saturation is how much of that hue exists in vibrancy in the color you're looking at. And as you tint, tone, and shade a color, you lose saturation. So if I take orange and I put black in it, I'm going to darken it up, but I'm going to lose a lot of the punch of orange immediately. Not just because it's darker, right? Whereas if I take orange as a base and then I take orange oxide can be used as a shade of orange, right? And this is why we talk in, triads and things like that, as I get a mid-tone, a shade, and then maybe I punch that up a little bit with, an orange for a highlight, right? And so these will work together, but they don't lose the vibrancy. It gets darker but stays orange. Watch what happens when I take this brown that we're going to do and just add black to it. I'm going to do a little bit of prep here. So I'm going to put some black out. Yeah, I'm going to put a little bit of black up there. I'm going to put a little bit of white up here. You ever wonder why I wipe on the palette twice? I squeeze some paint out, then close the lid, and then put the rest of the paint out on the palette so that you are cleaning the tip of the bottle as well. Now let me get something like black. Oh, not black brown. We get like, let's get dark umber, actually. Put some dark umber as a shade. Since we're using caramel brown, it's hard to tell on my palette because it's a nightmare right now. Right, but I'll put some dark umber out. And then as a tint for this, I will go with, since it's brighter, let's go with warm flesh. So I'll put some warm flesh out. So the thing to remember here is that you're always, when mixing, going to want something that is your quote-unquote black, right? And something that is your quote-unquote white, right? And if we look, let's do, if you can shoot to my hand here, Chris. Right? So if you look on my thumb palette, here is caramel brown, dead center caramel brown. Okay, it's like the color of my shirt, actually. Then if I take caramel brown and mix in a little bit of black into it over here, I'm going to get a shade color for it, but that shade color starts desaturating to a more gray color because of the black. Now that works great. That's a great shadow for that. It still has component of that color in it, so that'll work great. Okay, depending on just what you want as far as look. Now let's look and see what happens when I take a little bit of that and mix it in with the burnt umber, though, or the dark umber. Right? Let's get a value that's similar in darkness. And if I put that next to it, aha, I also get a shadow color, but it's more on hue, right? Black moves us towards gray and desaturates a lot of the color out. A color in that color family, right? So caramel is a brown or a yellow, and then dark umber is a brown. And so I've mixed the two together and I get a shade for that that keeps it feeling brown all the way through. This is a great shade for it, but because I use black, it desaturates and strips a lot of the color out, so you just have to be ready for that and understand. And I always like to test it. You can do this and say, which one of those do you like better as a shade? Okay. Now let's start with the highlight, and we'll just extend. I'm just going to extend this strip of color here. Now if I take some of the caramel brown and mix it in with the white over here, right, I'm going to get a highlight. We'll do it over here for that. But you'll notice again, I've lost a lot of the feel of the color. It's a brighter version of it, kind of like I don't know, like an ivory, right? Is what that looks like. Not quite white. Still has a little bit of the yellowish tone of my initial color. But now watch when I take that same color and pull it down into warm flesh and get that to be about the same brightness. Now I get a highlight that, while being at the same value, is now more true to my starting color. Make sense? So I like to have, it's why we talk about when I'm painting a lot of the times here, this color is acting as my black, or this color is acting as my white. Like I'll say a lot of times when doing non-metallic metal that this insert color here is acting as my white. Let's look at Antonio El Tigre, right? When we were doing the gold non-metallic metal, using the bright pale yellow as my white meant that it was going to have the effect of tinting my color, making it brighter, but keeping it on hue, because bright pale yellow is a yellow, and when mixed with all the golds and browns that I was doing for the non-metallic, it doesn't have the effect that white does of stripping that color out while brightening it. It keeps it that color. It keeps it gold. It keeps it feeling like that yellow metal the whole time that I'm going. Whereas white would have gotten me even brighter, but would have stripped a lot of that yellow out through desaturation, and maybe that's not what you're going for. It's not necessarily bad. It's something you just have to decide on whether or not you like it. Much like my hand. Do you like this highlight better that's more white, or do you like this one better that's almost as bright but keeps it the same color family as your base color more? And same with the shade, right? White blue is my highlight on the black armor, and it acts as my white as a tinting agent and brightening things up, but never really moves me towards traditional white. It keeps it in that blue, cooler spectrum as a highlight of black, right, and allows the bluishness of the black armor to take precedent. Okay, so that's just a way to look at it, and it's really a matter of taking the color that you're working with. If you're working with a green, right, think in terms of green as yellows and blues. So I could use white, obviously, or I could use bright pale yellow to highlight green. And I could mix it in a little bit with green. It's going to brighten it white up, because if I take bright pale yellow, right, and I just look at something like just base green, right? A base green could also be highlighted with white, but I could use bright pale yellow, which yellow as a component in the visible spectrum of green, right, makes it to where it will keep it green as you go brighter and make it feel more like this family of color, as opposed to white, which, while being even brighter, will strip a lot of the green away and make it a little bit more bubblegum or pastel. This will keep it green because I'm using a component of green in yellow to push it brighter. I could do white blue as well, right? That would just change that as I get closer. If I'm mixing to go brighter, the brighter I get here, the more yellowishness I'll feel, and the white blue will give it more of a bluish feel. So hopefully that helps.
There it is, chat. Tints, tones, and shades. That's why I was very quiet. There it is. Great little segment there, chat. Hopefully you liked my switching back and forth from the hand to the palette.
Dudes for life, says Chuck.
So now because here's the thing, like when Jason is doing his thing, Chris does not want to stop that trend, right? So to catch Jason up, Chuck said, "You laugh now, but what happens when Jason turns into Scourge because you didn't get his pumpkin bread?" Oh no, because we fired Chuck, our treats dealer.
But look at Jade.
But then Jade over here, right? Why'd Chuck get fired? And he said Dudes and Deets, and then team versus Deets and Dudes. Uh-oh. Dudes. Oh no. Can't we all just be Team Evil? No.
Jade, you got to pick a side, and I don't feel like you can pick your husband's side today. I know this might make dinner awkward, but Jade, I believe in you. On something like this mask bit, I painted it dark warm gray, and I'm just taking warm gray and going right over the top with some edge highlighting so that I'm not even really having to worry about it too much. Makes life easy.
Yeah. Tints, tones, and shades. Great way of looking at it. Call that paint preaching, chat. Great. I think you can all tell when Chris goes really quiet what I'm doing. It's like, hold.
Speaking of orange, since I pulled this orange out, use some.
I'm teen, adolescent, adult. I don't want to grow up.
I'm there.
That's the ultimate.
Can I be there? I'm there.
Jake.
We don't grow up, we just get older. True. Having to explain to people in the business world what it is we do, I go, okay, basically think of it like this. We're a company full of people, adults that never really decided that growing up was our option. And so we paint little men live on television and make really cool art supplies for other people who share our passion for never growing up.
It's really that simple, chat. Right there. It's really that simple. If you're just now tuning in, welcome. We are continuing painting up this unit project. We're doing a unit from start to finish. That's the series we're in now.
Hey, chat, have you ever wondered why Chris is so much nicer to the people who are just now showing up?
Oh, man.
Because if you're just now showing up, welcome. But for
say
those of us that
welcome.
have been here the whole time, he's just rude.
Oh, God.
He's just rude.
Chat.
Like, one day of my life, I would like to be one that's just showing up. That's what I would like to do. That's my dream, chat. Is one of these days, I'm just going to be a guy who's just showing up.
It's my subtle golf announcing, is what I like to call it. It's like, hey, are you awake? Hello. Don't get into that trance. Welcome in. Okay, Jason's get cookies. Chris does not. Chuck, what? You just switched sides that quick, Chuck? Okay, Jason gets cookies. Christopher does not. Chuck. Oh, my
Can you pop in closer?
I guess so. Ooh.
So I put a little bit of a secondary glow on this side of the visor, blend the orange in across the burnt orange and the orange oxide, so it leaves a little bit of like a dark reflection in the lens going from our right to left. And we'll use that as the basis for the rest of the shine on here. And here's a good example of wanting to make a brighter highlight for orange. So I'm going to go and use that exact color, which was the warm flesh, to do that. And it's going to give me kind of a sherbet color. It should be kind of neat. Because the warm flesh has got a high yellow feel to it. I can use that as the highlight here.
Punisher. Treat the people in your life the way Chris treats people showing up late.
Yep.
Well, what are you talking about? If you're talking about chat, that's different. If you're talking about Gabe, I don't know if you like, I don't know about that one. You know what? I'll start doing the exact opposite of that. If you're just now tuning in, where have you been? We have been tirelessly painting this unit for the last 5 streams. Where are you?
There you go. Now he's putting you on notice now. See,
that doesn't feel right though.
Doesn't, does it?
Jade, you are working. Not good enough. Jade, I need real answers. Get yourself someone who looks at you like Chris, who looks at someone who just came in. That's funny.
That is kind of funny.
Jade, I was making money to provide for my cats. Okay, there you go. I'll take that one. You're forgiven.
I take quite a bit of water on my brush so that I can get some of that orange and kind of glaze it back over that bright spot I just did.
That looks great.
Nice, quick, simple visor using basically 2 colors. I do then want to take a little bit of the warm flesh without any mixing in it, right? So it's that. And I want to poke a shine right a doot.
I'm going to zoom in on that one too. Ooh, very nice. I love that. So subtle, but makes the biggest difference.
Yeah, it's just one little dot of paint.
Yeah. That's awesome.
All right. The little details on this guy are pretty cool.
Yeah, that is because these models are just so nicely designed.
They really are.
They have a lot of details, but they don't have a lot of what I like to call like the dangly bits, like too many.
Yeah.
You know? They have details, but like when you start having...
It's like a bunch of wrinkles and edges.
Yeah.
It's not like, oh, he's got 50 million skulls that are each their own little model that I have to figure out.
Yes, Chuck. More like details. All right. I'm back on Team Chuck. All right, here we go.
Chuck, it's hard to imagine me firing you more than once in a day, but I think we're approaching this.
T. Schmid, no dude angles. Okay, now we're just on fire, chat. There we go. There's those little glow sticks. That is a dude angle for sure. Those glow sticks. Tchotchkes, yeah, that's right. Lumberjack Tim, tchotchkes. Yep. A chechapes.
That's not even a word.
No, a chechapes is a real word. Look it up. It's an accessory of an accessory. I've said this many times, chat. Many times. How to paint your chechape.
All right.
He's ready for the rave now, right?
Pretty simple, but good looking model.
Simple but effective.
Simple but effective. Harsh but fair.
Harsh but fair.
Harsh but fair.
Wad, I haven't seen Wad in here today. Still using a size 4 brush, Jason?
I'm
Kyle.
using a size 2.
Size 2 for these.
I had to look. This is a size 2. So this guy, I can't even tell what's going on for these guys in their eyeballs.
Is that a lens?
There's it's like got little slits.
Oh, okay. Like that's his whole face mask?
Yeah, it's like a whole face mask. There's no lens on the dudes. The guys that have the drop backpacks all have the orange lens.
Yeah, and these guys don't?
Right? And these guys that do not have the drop backpacks have got these weird, like, full face covers that just have little eye holes that might, like, glow red or something.
Interesting.
Like, they just don't, there's nothing there. There's not even, like he's holding up, like, binocs to his face, but the face holes don't have anything sculpted on them, like eye slits. Well, there is. There's, like, a little hash.
Is that their eye?
Well, you can imagine that in my head, it's almost like what we're seeing is something more akin to, like they have a digital readout inside the face mask.
Yeah.
And they've got lenses that are like cameras on the outside.
Okay.
But then why would you hold binoculars up?
No, yeah, it's true.
So that lost me. I'm like, I don't understand. I feel like I want to know, but I don't know. Take some bright pale green. Here's another study in tinting. I'm going to take some bright pale green with my camo green, if I can find my camo green somewhere around here. Somewhere's around these parts. I probably should have.
Is it in front of you? Is it in front of you somewhere?
Oh, it is right here.
I guess
right in front of me. So camo green and bright pale green. Again, a way to brighten a color while staying in the color family makes it easy. And I want to highlight this guy's shirt without going to faded green. And the last color I used was camo green. Bright pale green is a little more of a greenish highlight, so to speak, but won't work well on its own. So I take a little bit of the bright pale green, mix it into the camo green. I just play over here on the tail I've pulled out until I get a color that I like. And that's good.
Oh, here's a good one from D-Fresh. Thanks, Jason, for dispelling the, in quotes, speed painting myth by painting this bunch. Just enjoy the journey.
Well, it all comes down to what do you enjoy and what do you want your final product to look like over the course of how much time you have. There's nothing wrong with speed paints. They're great. When contrast paints came out, I really applauded GW for really building towards their audience. Mm-hmm. When trying to bring new people into the hobby, if they're not hobbyists already, then how do you get people interested in taking part into your world who may not feel artistically inclined? It's a real struggle, right?
Yeah.
And so hats off to being able to create a method that was it already existed as a way we painted with pre-highlighting and, using the zenithal highlight and such to get where you wanted to go. But coming up with a paint that just kind of made that a product, I think was brilliant. I do not like the paints because I think they teach us some very bad habits.
Like you get used to them a little bit?
Well,
that way?
Yeah, it teaches you in almost, I don't know if in reverse is the right way, but it doesn't teach the understanding of light that you need, right?
Oh, I see. Okay.
It's like you can just do this thing and it lets the geometry of the model figure it out for you because the pigment goes wherever there's a low spot and things like that, as opposed to letting you control shadow. But it's a great starting point. So you'll never hear me, knock it too bad. I always say, I think it's a great place to onboard people and to really get them interested in the hobby and show them success quickly. I put it up there with dry brushing. As a kid, one of my biggest aha moments was when I did my first dry brush model, and I was like, oh my gosh, that's how those guys get all those details to show, like rivets on tanks.
Oh.
Right? Because I was a kid. I had no patience. I wasn't going to sit there and paint every rivet on a tank. Have you lost your mind? When you're 9 or 10 years old, nobody got time for that.
Jason,
What?
I think this is what chat was saying it is.
The balaclava? No, their
Is
face
it?
masks are not balaclavas. They actually have
They're actually like tactical something.
they have like their hard surface. They have rebreather ports on them and things like that. Like you can see down there. See, there's a little rebreather port off of his cheek and then a nose. You can't. There's no human nose. It's a face mask.
Oh,
it just doesn't have what I would assume would be like gas mask goggle eyes. It has slits, very Infinity-like little slits where it would be like camera sensors that are looking out and providing a full field of vision inside your face mask.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, because there's nothing on there except for straight angles and stuff. I can look at some of the pictures of them up close on their site maybe and figure out what they were doing with it.
Going back to what you were saying, that teaching in reverse is kind of an interesting comment that they do, right?
Yeah, because they're not as concerned. I think that's the part where GW falls off, is they're not as concerned with your journey beyond that point. They believe, I want to rightfully say that they believe that once they hook you into the world and show you the models and show you a path of least resistance to enjoying your time with a model, that you'll figure the rest of it out. They just kind of leave it to you, right? And that's great. Because if you paint a model, whether it's with, slap chop or whatever the next big fad is.
Source just said that slap chop got me into painting minis.
Yeah.
Which I guess is just another name for like painting quickly, like getting things on the table fast and simple.
Yeah. I mean, slap chop is just doing the speed paint without the spray can.
Yeah.
Right? Because it was something where somebody was asking if they could, create the same effect, but with dry brushing the model to get the highlights on it first.
Yeah.
So we call it pre-highlighting and underpainting. It's what it's always been. Been around for eons as a way to define values and sketch in your brightness and darkness on a model. And then, you can use it how you want. It's a great technique. And like dry brushing gives you the ability to really feel like you've made an impact on your model without having to spend years and years practicing to be a better painter. Ain't nobody got time for that when what you're really trying to do is put Space Marines on the table and deliver the Emperor's Wrath.
Yeah. No, that's a good way of putting it. Gosu said, I have no art background, and it was such a eureka moment for me learning dry brushing as a new painter.
Yep, 100%. I'm right there with you. It was such an eye-opener. Light bulb.
It's fun.
Eureka. And now, even to this day, we show you cool ways you can use dry brushing.
Yeah.
It's not just a kid's method of painting. You learn it early. It's a great tool. Don't forget it late, because it's something that will give you miles and miles of value throughout your painting career.
Oh yeah.
Or journey. Not everybody's a career, but no matter what you determine you want to do, you'll be dry brushing. At some point, you'll be like, "Yep, rocks, tree trunks, dry brush." It just gives natural texture so easily.
Yeah.
And dry brushing is something you have to get good at, which, might sound funny to some people, but you need to become proficient at it for it to really deliver its best quality.
Mm-hmm. Otherwise, you could really mess something up.
Well, yeah, you put too much texture on it.
That's what I meant. Not messing up, but you know what I mean. Just going overly dry brushing or something.
Oh yeah, it can be so much, like too much. Makes it look like you dip the model in powder at some point if you're not careful.
Source has a question going to dry brushing. Do you preach keeping a slightly moist brush while dry brushing like Artist Opus does?
No. Well, okay. So, there is a difference in dry brushing and what I have always called smudge brushing. And there is a place for both. And I would say that the damp brush makes it tough for the dry brush to get seasoned properly to actually do what you want a dry brush to do. I talk about it a little bit when we did the weathering on the tank. So when we did this guy, right, I used the flat-sided angled dry brush to catch all of the corners and all of the highlights on the upper edges, even on the curved surfaces here. And I didn't have any dampness on the brush at all. And as you go, seasoning that brush with just the right amount of dried paint in it is what gives you that nice light weathering. Now, if I were going to paint the entire side of this tank with a dry brush, with a brush that was meant for dry brushing, like the dome dry brushes and like what Artist Opus makes, then, and number one, I have a ton of respect for Byron and his crew. Great guys. But sometimes what they're doing is not dry brushing, they're smudge brushing, which is taking a particular shape brush, getting it damp, and then putting color on it and allowing that color to blend in feather easily, because you're no longer dealing with what a dry brush technique is. A dry brush technique is waiting for that paint to be less fluid, meaning not damp, so that it only hits the high edges and doesn't streak when doing so. So if you keep your brush damp, it's going to do less effective a job of doing that, like catching a squared corner and maintaining that without a little bit of improper streakiness to that corner, right? It's just going to do a really nice edge for you. And a lot of people complain that the dry brush provides too much dust on the model, because when you hit it, all that dried paint turns into a puff of smoke, basically, and settles on the model and makes it a little bit dusty. Well, that is what it's for. It's supposed to give that weathered look, to where it gives that oxidation. If you're brightening an edge, it gives that feel. So there's times when I do that, like here, no dampness to it at all. We've painted an entire rhino, Space Marine rhino, with a dry brush on stream to show you how to use the smudge brushing technique, which is the same brush. Remember, dry brushing is a technique, it's not a product, right? And so the domed dry brush that we have, the dry brushing technique where you don't have dampness on the brush, is good for one application and outcome. Having dampness on that brush is good for a totally different application and outcome. I can sit and watch Byron do an entire model with a domed, what we would call a domed dry brush, right? It looks like a makeup brush, right? And he can paint a whole model and get a tremendous outcome with it by using that damp technique, because really what he's doing is he's allowing himself to layer paint with a big brush to cover a lot of surface at one time. And it also gives you some texture because of the shape of the brush. It's like stippling a million points of paint on a model at once if you use a bigger brush. And so it can give a really, really cool variety rather than a regular brush stroke. It can give you a really cool texturing and variety to the way the paint applies to the model. That can be really neat and provide its own weathering, right, and depth. So it's a great tool both ways. I typically do not smudge brush because I don't do a lot of vehicles and huge, Goliath monsters where I want to paint them that fast. I'm not trying to get those huge models on the table like that quick. I'm spending a lot of time on those big models, so I'm painting with a brush. But yeah, it's a very valid way in both senses.
Apex, thank you all. It's a great discussion to stumble into. I am an art teacher for kids and I paint miniatures. But as I teach the kids, the most important thing is not perfection, but to be satisfied with what you do. The process is more important than the product.
100%. Until, yeah, you want to be happy with your own output for sure. And so that's the key. And one of the things I love about like paint and takes with kids is they're just happy doing it.
Yeah.
And seeing paint touch the model and their imagination come to life. They're not comparing it to anything on Instagram. And that's so amazing. And I wish I could bring that level of confidence in painting to adults that start their journey painting miniatures. Because it's like, yes, it's like just touch. We talked about it. Chris got inspired when we had that discussion on stream a week or so ago.
Yeah.
Where I was like, just start the journey. Pick the brush up, put paint on it, and paint.
Yep.
Because you can't hurt anything here, right? Even if I mess up, I can fix it.
Yeah, that's a big one I think people need to hear is like you can fix something, right?
Nothing is irreparable on a model unless you get so disgruntled you throw it against the wall and shatter the model. As long as the model exists to paint, you can fix it.
Yeah.
Even if it means you prime over it, strip it, whatever. There's never a time where whatever you've just done is a big, huge problem. And we get that kind of paralysis we talk about where we just don't do anything rather than having fun painting the toys we've bought.
Yeah.
Build, everybody's got their pile of shame. Well, build and paint that pile.
Yeah, it really is just about starting, That's half the battle. It really is just sitting down and not thinking about it too much. That is half the battle.
Go, Joe.
Apex, yeah, the world is so obsessed with comparing anything you do to anyone else. I swore to myself that I'll paint only for myself. It is the biggest contributor to my mental health, besides staying clean and socially healthy. Yeah.
Yep.
It's it is a very again, we were talking about this last week. It forces your mind to do something creative and to focus on that thing so it can be very refreshing to your other daily tasks or life things, right?
Well, and you got to remember that in your painting should do whatever you need it to do. Mm-hmm. If you're a person that wants to paint competitively, you should be able to do that and find your way in that world of competitive painting. And I like that there is such an avenue for you to see other people's paint and to compare and contrast and find your path and do that stuff. I think that's great. But the statement that was made, I think it resonates with me 100%, is that it's too much that way. Because people, and this gets us into the whole social media dynamic and what people expect and, what they look at social media for. But, you do. I always say, compare the model you're painting now only to the last model you painted.
Yeah.
Do not paint it to anyone else's model. Unless, of course, you're saying, hey, what I'm trying to do is paint this model the same way Chris did.
Yeah.
And so I keep looking at Chris's picture saying, did I get that right? But if I do it correctly, I'm not looking at bettering Chris. I'm looking at that as a learning experience to look and see, Chris did this with these colors. I'm going to mimic that because I really love it. And then when you're done, you're like, yeah, great. Or you say, wow, mine doesn't look at all like Chris's. I need to ask Chris what he did because I used those colors he said and it didn't turn out right. And so use it as a teaching and learning experience, which a lot of people forget along the way that, hey, that person may have told you their color list, but they didn't tell you the other things that they did that they've learned over their X amount of time painting.
Yeah.
You've got to discover a lot of that on your own. So
panic bomb. So do it like Chris.
Yeah,
so
do everything like Chris. Chris is silently the best painter in the building.
So glue rocks to it. No panic bomb. That's old Chris. I am reborn. So I just need some aquarium gravel. Hey, it's coming out. My journey is going to be full circle soon.
Poor Chris.
No, it's okay. I like the character arc of my painting journey.
It's great. It's
great.
Yours.
I went to being the exact opposite of like, what can I do to not paint these, to painting them and enjoying it.
So I'll tell you a funny story. When I first went off to college, I wanted to work at a car stereo store. And so I had built a speaker cabinet in my little Volkswagen that I was super proud of, right? Built it out of wood at my dad, with my dad in our garage and blah, 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 blah. And I was like, oh man, this kicks butt, because against not having speakers, it sounded great. It was a travesty in the real world for people that knew what they were doing. I didn't know anything about acoustics at the time, or very little, and, played in music and just kind of mimicked what I saw in guitar cabinets and got close and made something that sounded pretty good and whatever. Went off to college, was like, you know what? I need a job. So I went to a local car stereo store and I said, you need to hire me. I was really brazen. You need to hire me. And the guy was like, okay, why? I was like, are you hiring? You need to hire me because I make the best speaker cabinets. And I took them out and showed him my speaker cabinet that I'd done in my car.
Yeah.
And you know what? That guy was probably one of my biggest heroes because he didn't laugh at me for my dumb speaker cabinet that I built with my 6x9 speakers in the back deck.
Yeah.
And he just looked and did oh yeah, cool. Oh, I like how you did because I did make it cut and fit in this weird, awkward situation.
He
but
was super into it.
So he acted like he was super into it.
Yeah.
Years later, after he hired me, gave me
Yep.
a shot, taught me a bunch. And in school, I was learning acoustics. And so I developed a lot of my own. And years later, after I didn't work for him anymore, but we met out at an event that was in that industry. And he was like, can I tell you something? I was like, yeah. And he goes, that speaker cabinet that you brought in sounded like garbage. He was like, it was the worst thing I had ever seen. He's like, but your attitude got me. You really wanted it, and I knew you loved it, and I knew you could learn, right? Because you had put all that effort into that, and you loved it. And he goes, so as cocky as you were, I knew we had something there, and I could show you how to do some really cool stuff. And I liken that to painting. Is like, if you can keep the cockiness to a level where it's like, okay, I get that you love it, right? And you can just make sure that you're focused on what you do and that you love what you do and you are going along for the journey, then yeah, there's no end to what you can accomplish. We get people in here all the time. They're like, oh my God, I'll never paint that good. I'm like, yeah, you will. All you got to do is want to. Right? I never woke up one day and said, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to paint miniatures for a bunch of people on the internet and make paint and sell it to the world.
Yep.
That was not a thing that was on my bucket list.
That wasn't your first thing you were thinking of?
It wasn't on my bucket list,
The journey got you here somehow.
Yeah. Because I just fell in love with painting.
Yeah.
And the more I fell in love with it, the more I started looking at it. Now, I say that I was both lucky and unlucky. We joke about how I wish I had the internet back when I was learning to paint because the wealth of information that's available. Yeah. But I'm really not. Like, I'm glad the internet didn't exist because I probably wouldn't have made it through the comparison matrix of, what is good and what isn't good. I was very hard on myself. If I felt like I failed, that was not an enjoyable time for me, nor is it for anybody. I don't know that I would have made it had I not had the ability to be dumb and blind in my room painting models and enjoying the outcome of what I had just done. If I had to then go on Instagram and see that everybody else had done it better, I probably would have broken. I would have gone and done something else, found something else I was better at the time. So that's why I say, I just keep your head straight, focus on what you did last time, where you've made, what you want to make as an achievement for this next model you paint, how much, what do you want to change, what do you want to see that gets better, focus on that and make it happen.
Just let that one sit there and just bask over you, chat. Let it sit.
It's my soapbox for the day.
That's all right. Hey, speaking of today, if you're just now tuning in, welcome.
He likes you better.
We're happy for you that you're here, but we're also disappointed in you that you weren't here sooner.
He likes you better.
I don't like anybody better. Chat, if you've got questions, be sure to message or tag Monument Hobbies, and I'm going to go back up here a little bit because I was a little want to make sure I grab some of these questions. Doug Minis, thank you so much for that sub. Dusty Hobbies, I'm trying to paint dull glass like a headlight on a car, but I'm struggling to make anything that looks good. Any pointers on how to start?
We actually have a video on our YouTube channel about painting a headlight on a car.
Really?
Believe it or not.
Chris,
Isn't that crazy?
I'm gonna go look.
There's a video on there where I paint one of the Marvel Crisis Protocol cars
Oh my gosh, I know exactly.
that has a headlight on it, and I talk about painting a headlight.
I'm looking right now.
If painting anything that is see-through is difficult when it's not see-through
Yeah.
on the model you're painting. So starting there, you have to have an understanding of, just the fundamental, how you're going to fake people into thinking. And it's kind of like painting a flask of liquid.
Hmm. I'm looking.
I'm pretty sure it's still on there.
I remember the car.
It was like in the past live stream. I don't remember.
I'll find it. Chris's new motto. What have you just tuned in for me lately? Oh my goodness.
Oh my gosh.
Hey.
That's great, grand, and glorious right there. Sums Chris up in a nutshell right there.
What have you just tuned in for me lately? Oh.
Chris, I need everybody in chat
Uh-oh.
to give Chris some accolades.
Uh-oh. I want him.
I need you to put some hearts and thank yous up in chat. You know what Chris did this weekend?
Oh. Oh, no, it's fine.
Chris spent his weekend, pretty much his entire weekend, other than the time he was sleeping and maybe eating, in the office painting the walls of where we're moving all the admin stuff.
Get it done. Get it done.
He literally did that, chat.
I do my best for the best, chat.
He literally did that, chat.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it.
No, thank you. That was awesome.
It was. I do enjoy. Did I use the DA100? No.
He has. He made it. He's the
I-
creator of the DA100.
I saw Jason use it once in my lifetime.
Never happened. Lying liar who lies.
No, you guys are too much. Too much. Go Sue. So when I was at Nova, Chris went out of his way to take some awesome pics of the entry and gave me some. Yeah, Go Sue. I loved your entry. That Lancer was dope. It was a good piece. No, I appreciate it. I also did some gardening in the evening.
Did you really?
I did. I went home and did some. I had some pots that I needed to get going. I did some gardening. So I had a very productive weekend.
Jeez, no kidding. Considering you were here pretty late.
That turned into a way bigger project on that end too on Saturday, but
did it?
It came out good. My parents are doing a bunch of redoing of their backyards and had a bunch of old big pots, so I took some time and ripped out some old plants from their desert backyard and repotted them.
Over to your house?
Over to my house, yeah.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah. Bunch of aloes. I did plant cactus, Grant. It was some cactus.
It's like the only thing you can trust to not die here.
It's true.
Is succulents.
Yep. So I have really adopted my love for aloe. I have so many aloe plants right now. They're getting too big, so I have to repot them.
They think it will go out of control.
They do. They really do. They are like weeds.
You've got enough burn cream for the rest of your life.
I do. I am just waiting for somebody to get a sunburn. Well, I appreciate it, chat. And now it looks good. That's the other part of it, is when you do something, regardless of what it is, and it looks good, it feels good.
That is very true.
That's the other hidden secret, is once you have something and a project's done, that's a good feeling. Zappo's asking a question. I messed up and left the twist top partly open on my transparent white. It isn't completely dried out, but can I fix it, or should I just buy a new bottle?
Unfortunately, when your paint has evaporated, it is almost impossible to reconstitute. You can probably get it to work by using a mix of water and or glazed wash medium. If you need to do something with it quickly, but that will also evaporate out of there pretty quick, even if you do the top tight. So yeah, it's unfortunately probably at a place where you need to replace it. The zinc in transparent white will give you problems when you try to just add water back to it. So you know what Chris and I did? Well, I don't know if you know what I did for the weekend. I didn't do a whole lot.
What did you do?
Well, I did. Yeah, I came up here and built that model.
You did.
It was that.
It is a very cool. It is a very cool model.
I don't know. I don't know if I'm painting it on stream.
So, we did talk about painting some of those old models, but I don't know. That Sanguinius is pretty cool. Could either do like a painting of an old model. It could be the painting of the old model could be something that's more of like a small bit rather than like a whole deal, but you could take your time with that Sanguinius and we could do a whole hero series on it.
It's a really cool model.
Or you do it off stream.
Yeah, that's the thing. I don't know. We just did a big thing on non-metallic gold.
We did. But that was on a bust, right? This is a more applicable, like, okay, because not everybody, obviously, busts are a little different from, heroes on the table, right? But
that's a good point.
So we could, it's essentially the same thing, but at a different scale, which is totally a new version of the thing, right?
That is a good point. What do we think, chat? Who wants to see?
We need to start a vote. I need to start like a survey vote thing. Yeah.
Who wants to see Sanguinius painted on the stream at a very high level? Because that's going to take a long time.
It would, but look at that figure, right? They're wings. There you go. So how many people have asked about painting feathers?
Yeah, that's true.
That's a video right there.
That's true. And I
just
plan to do it like
spitballing.
I did Dante's, except
Right.
more in depth with the iridescence.
Source. I want to see fantasy stuff, but this is close enough. Here's the thing. If we could come up with 100 different things and chat's going to be like, do it! Yes! I don't know if somebody's like, you know what? I'm not feeling that one. But yes, the feathers, I definitely would. We've had quite a bit of people ask about feathers. For some reason, maybe I'm just more in tune, but I've been seeing a lot of them. Yeah. And, the other thing, too, is, not just the model itself, but, today, the summary of the tints, tones, and shades, right? There's also that content, too, where if you're not catching that moment right in the middle of stream, those are the things that I capture as well. So,
all right.
There's a lot of good. Or, I think we were talking about that. We should come up with we should do a survey one, like a survey, or a questionnaire channel or something on Discord. Or I could also do that now I think about it.
You're talking about giving chat the power to say what they want?
No,
and we're going to listen to them?
Options.
Generally, hey, Chris, don't tell chat, but generally what we do. Okay? Generally what we do.
Okay.
Can you pop in a little closer?
I can, yeah.
While I'm doing this stuff? These guys are too small.
Yeah.
Generally what we do and we don't tell chat this,
Okay.
but typically what we do is we say, hey, chat, what do you think about this? Because it's a scheme.
Yeah.
It's a scheme to get them to think that we care.
Oh, okay, I see.
And then we rug pull them.
Rug pull
by doing what we want to do anyway.
Oh no.
Okay, so I need you to just keep that from chat, but for your own, I know we didn't really talk about that.
Okay.
It seems a little underhanded, and I just wanted to make sure you were like really in tune with the whole
we'll
scenario before I broke that out on you there.
Here's what we'll do. I'll give you all 4 options. You can all vote on them, and then we'll pick option number 5.
Yeah, that's basically what I meant. That's basically how that works.
Now we can preference. Here's what we'll do. We'll preference our voting on, hey, if we think about maybe feeling like this certain thing, maybe-ish thing, which one would you choose?
Yeah, see, Punisher knows. Oh, wait. Was chat listening to that? Wait a minute.
We could throw it on.
Chris, you were supposed to mute that. Did I not say mute that?
Uh-oh. That was live. We could throw it on YouTube community tab, which would be a great place for voting. Or Discord. Or everywhere. No, we don't do that.
Wherever finer foods are sold.
We tell you what we're going to do. Because we have several options. We have that. We have the old model, which, Chris was kind of excited for that old model series. I'm not going to lie.
I got to get one of these Spartans painted too. But that's also going to be gold. So I'm probably going to paint that one off stream. Yeah. And then I could paint Sanguinius on stream.
I say definitely do Sanguinius on stream if I had to vote.
All right.
But I do want to see some of those old models, Jason. Are you excited to paint those old models or not as much?
I think one of them would be fun.
I think it'd be kind of cool to see. I don't want to say never, but not a lot of people will focus on those. And I think it would be cool to have some really, obviously back in the day, you ain't painting models with pro acryl, right? Way back.
No, it's all testers, just like these are. These are like painted. These are literally like painted with the testers enamels. Look at that gloss.
You see, you could do some really cool, because the tech is way better on such old things, right? It's almost like remodeling a car from scratch or whatever you want to call it, right? Just restoring an old car.
Yeah, restoring an old car.
Gosu, I'm all about those old models. I have quite a stash of old metal Warhammer. Yeah, a lot of people do.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
I had some of the old Citadel. Before there was a Warhammer, I had some of the old Citadel models that were the Chaos Warriors.
Oh, yeah,
like
the
Chaos
OG
Warrior
ones.
pack. And I think they had like a Halfling pack and stuff like that were just for general fantasy D&D style gaming. And they were really great. The old Chaos Warriors that had the dang little nipple on their forearm that the shield went on, and the nipple was the dome or the spike of the shield in the center. It was so great.
The because that's how you kept the shields on. Yeah,
you glue the shield on to their arm.
Had like a little
it had a
axe
bulb
in the other hand
or a spike that came out, and in the middle of the shield was a circle or a square that went over that spike or dome, and then the dome stuck through to be the centerpiece of the shield, and that's how you glued them on. It was brilliant.
Now you're getting me hyped for old models. What are you doing?
It was brilliant.
You could do that.
I don't have any of those.
You could do that barbarian gal.
Yeah.
The dwarf is also pretty cool too.
But Sanguinius.
I know. I think Jason's wanting to do more Sanguinius, which would be cool too.
So I was not in the best headspace yesterday, chat. When I came into the office, and I didn't find anything that I was like really wanting to paint. I had a plan of what I wanted to paint. And then when I got here, I was like, grumble, complain, old man yells at clouds. I was like, brah. It was like how I walked around all day yesterday. It was brah. And so I said, well, I got to do something hobby related because I swore to myself, I promised myself I would. And so I kept my promise to myself. And I built Sanguinius. And when I got him done, I was like,
oh, he's cool.
I probably shouldn't have done that.
Oh, no.
Because that model's really cool. Like, really cool. and I was like, this is gonna piss Chris off.
No, I'm
throw
not
a wrench
pissed.
in this system.
I'm not pissed. I'm just upset.
I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed.
No. I don't think either option. I think both options are great. I think also doing like a hero and taking some time on a hero would be also really valuable, because you did. It's kind of a bigger, broader kind of version of all of this, but we did go from a the bust version. I don't want to say it's not obviously not the same model, but you went from bust to now applying some of those bust techniques to your models on the tabletop. Could be a cool series too.
Yep.
So I like all of it.
You like all of it.
I like all of it.
Basically, Chris is saying he's easy to please. So.
I will cast my vote though.
For old model. For historic model. Fun.
That's right.
All right. Duly noted.
How do you get old tester? Oh, Ghost Hunters asked a great question. How do you get old testers off the metal model? See, it could have been a video. How do you do that?
I would think that you're probably into like kerosene or turpentine or some hard solvent.
Battery acid,
brake restorer and cleaner works really well, but you got to be careful because it's very toxic.
They don't make it like they used to, Chet.
But yeah, stuff like that. Some heavy solvent. Brake cleaner works really well on those metal models.
Dang.
But just use a very well ventilated area for that.
Yep. Little Billy, have you seen the Trench Crusade Lord of Tumors? No.
Yes.
Oh, that thing is gross, says Little Billy.
It is very despicable. Which one is the one dropping like crap into a cup for the dudes walking along with him?
What?
Is that one?
It probably. Let's see.
Or is that just the one that has all the boobos? And I feel like the Lord of Tumors is their Nurgle.
Oh,
looking
I think
dude.
It is.
Big hunched back.
Yeah. Oh my. Oh. Gross. I think this is it. See that guy?
Yes.
Oh, gross.
And see the guy in the back has got a plate where the ooze is coming out of his pustules into
golly, dude.
It's horrible. Horrible and great. Horrible and great all at the same time.
They're just drinking the tumor juice. Gross. Kind of a cool model, though.
Well, yeah.
But gross. I do like Nurgle, though.
That's the Beelzebub stuff.
Yeah, I do. I am a fan of Nurgle. I just like Nurgle, though, mainly for their story. The whole, like, they're just so joyous to give you the gift. Here you go. Here's this beautiful disease just for you from Grandpapa
He's already
Nurgle.
Grandfather's garden. He's always cooking up diseases in his
like,
stew pot.
And everybody's like, oh my gosh, thank you so much, Grandfather. This is great. They're just disgusting.
Yeah, he forgets to tell you that, he's the Lord of life, but the kind of life that grows out of death and decay. Yeah. So, yeah, we didn't sell that one
just
the whole way.
Just a kind of different life. If you like Nurgle, you gotta read Lord of Silence. I'll have to look into it. Yeah, I do like the Great Unclean one. That's a very fun model. The Glotkin, very fun. Very cool. That's my next test is I have a painted Rodigus at home, but I want to noosh it with green and see what happens.
One of my favorite Nurgle stories is the one where we get him actually getting, the Primarch duped into siding with him to protect his legion.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
What's that guy? Something.
Mortarion.
Mortarion.
So Mortarion didn't want his sons, his legion, to die. They were infected with this plague.
Yeah.
And from Nurgle that they got while traveling in the warp, and like he saw one of his sons rise from the dead after dying to this plague, and he stabbed him with this dagger.
Ooh.
And then Nurgle said he would save all of his sons from death, right? But he had to commit to Nurgle. And so he finally gets him to, out of his hubris and his love for his sons and all that. And he does it, but that was the part that Nurgle said, well, in order for them to live, they have to embrace the eternal death, right? Ooh. They all had to die anyway and become zombies and gross, and all that stuff. So,
ew. Yeah,
so Mortarion was never pleased with that whole deal. That's the whole deal with the devil thing that I really love that 40K did, is that, in a lot of those stories, when they tell it back, they don't make that heroic.
Yeah.
Right? When you really dig in, they're not like, like they just came out with Latara Saren, I think is her name, the woman who was the captain above the not the Vengeful Spirit, whatever the Khorne, the World Eaters flagship was called, and she was the one who was the captain and faced down Angron on multiple occasions just as human.
Yeah.
And they all loved her. And in the books, the way she realizes the heresy of her ways is astounding. Like they go through this, she sees herself sitting in the throne, but she's become melted to the throne. She's just this weird amalgam of demonic nonsense, and realizes that her soul is now a wraith trapped on the ship, destined for all eternity to watch her decomposing body and the demon that's overtaken it rule in her stead.
Interesting.
So all of her pridefulness and everything that kept her there, she lost over to the demon that took her, and now her poor soul realizes what a mistake it was to get involved with the whole chaotic thinking, but she's now cursed to roam the halls of her ship, not being able to do anything. So there was a lot of that in the final books, where all these people that were traitors were realizing maybe this wasn't a good idea.
Yeah. They're realizing their specific deal with the devil.
Yeah, some of the World Eaters, there was all sorts of them. Some of the Mortarians, Death Guard. The only ones that I don't know had any of those thoughts were like the Sons of Horus. I'm not sure a whole lot of them had second thoughts, except for, I guess, Abaddon technically did. Not second thoughts. He would have railed against humanity anyways, but he definitely did not like his gene sire there at the end. Horus, he was not on Horus's good side.
So much story. It sounds so deep when you start talking about it. Like, because I want to get into it, but it's also so daunting to even start. Like I was telling you, I'm rereading the Similarian right now, and I'm like, oh my gosh, it's just.
What are we at? 50, 60 some odd books in the Horus Heresy series?
63 the last time I Googled it, or 64?
Isn't that crazy?
Horus Heresy. 64 books in the Horus Heresy.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Oh my goodness.
Crazy. And it's
vast.
Some very, very good reads and some stinkers. So you never have to read all of them, but there's enough of them there that are really good that
it's worth it.
You got to pay attention and go down the line, right?
Orky Fish Meat, will you guys have a booth and paint for sale at Adepticon?
Yes, indeed. We're one of the most active booths at the entire show. People complain about us every year.
You should have seen our line last year. Wild. Papa Chicken, I heard the Similarian reads like a history textbook. Is that so?
It is like an encyclopedia.
How do you like it?
It's short tales that aren't really done in true fictional story manner.
It jumps
that tell
around,
the history of these things. They talk about it. It's like reading an encyclopedia, 100%. Mm-hmm.
The first essentially 3 or 4 chapters tells you the same account from different perspectives. So it's very good. And then it starts to, like, you start to get into like I just finished the Battle of Morgoth and Fingolfin, and that's like when it starts to become a story, right? Because there's a lot of story up until then, but that's like the first, I would say, big story inside the book, which is also really good.
It spans like 3,500 years or
lot.
something like that.
And it's one book, but you have to read the histories of Middle Earth to really dive further into it. But those books, those read like textbooks.
Remember the Silmarillion is the story of the elvish folk in Middle Earth and beyond, as the original kind of, I don't want to say rulers. They weren't rulers, but they were the benevolent rulers of Middle Earth.
The first children.
Yeah, they were the first children, right?
Yeah.
And so it spans a lot. That's one of my biggest reasons for not really getting into like the TV show that's on right now.
Yeah,
because they don't
have the rights, so they can't even fabricate anything close to the real story.
Yeah, they only have the rights of what was mentioned in the New Line Cinema stuff.
Yeah,
they don't have the ability to go into the actual Silmarillion and tell those stories if the characters they talk about weren't at least mentioned, I think, in the New Line, right?
They mention they have certain rights to specific names because you can't have the story without those certain names, like Morgoth.
Yeah.
And, they don't even mention, like, Eru, the god, right? They have some rights to the Second Age, none of the First Age, because the Tolkien estate still keeps that because they don't want anybody tampering with it. Because that's like, once you start tampering with that, it's like tampering with science, like facts, right? You can't interpret that any other way, and that's like the only way to interpret it, right? Gotchi rating with 19.
Hello.
Welcome in, Raiders.
Hello.
We're just nerding out, painting some models, talking Tolkien, talking some deep lore, trying to figure out what models we want to paint next. And when I mean we, I mean Jason. And when I mean we, as in we'll vote, but not really. The votes don't matter in our democracy here.
I'm going to use some faded ultramarine, also known as faded blue jean.
Faded blue jean.
It is like the perfect color to mix in with any of your blues for blue jean, for denim. It's got a little bit of a violet nature to it, which is really cool.
Yeah. So anyway, that's my Tolkien rant. Just because I'm reading it again.
I think it's
the theories on that kind of stuff are really fun. Like when Eru actually intervenes in the world. He only does it like 3 times. The one of combating Melkor, then the fall of the Númenóreans, and then the last one.
Because he's the one that blew up the...
He's the one who destroys the Númenor because of their essentially worshipping Morgoth.
Right.
He then combated the second song of like the Valar in protest to Morgoth when he did the Discord. Morgoth did. And then the third time is when he made Gollum slip into the fiery pits. That's a theory. That's not confirmed, but it's a big one where Eru, that's the last time he intervened because Frodo couldn't complete it. That's a theory where it's like Eru is the one who made Gollum slip into the fires of Mount Doom because Frodo was so spent that Eru had to intervene one last time, which is really cool to think about. It's a big nerd theory, right? So, anyway, it's really cool to think about. Like I said, it's not confirmed, but if you start looking into it, it's like, oh, interesting. One of the best scenes in the book.
A little bit of faded ultramarine in with the Payne's gray gives us such a great faded blue jean color.
Source your band from the chat. Why didn't Gandalf just send Frodo to Mount Doom with the Eagles? Your band. I have that power.
Yeah.
Band.
I'm with you.
You're banned.
I've asked these questions forever.
You're banned.
There were some easy routes to victory.
It's about the hero's journey, Source. Come on, man.
Easy routes to victory, folks.
That's it. That's my one. I only get one a month. That's my one Tolkien rant. That's it. That's all you get. Done. I'm done. We're painting. We're here. Hey, it's almost 4:00, Jason.
What?
Yeah, isn't that crazy? It's 3:58.
Way. Why is he lying to me again, chat? I don't understand.
Painting up again.
These tactical pants to look like jeans because they have all sorts of weird seams where jeans would not have seams. Like they've got thigh seams that wrap around the thigh, and because all these guys are really wearing like tactical BDUs, so they're all like straps and crazy crap all over the pants. But trying to make them look like blue jeans is a little tough. Same with the shirts. The shirts are easier to pull off, but I think they're all supposed to be less clothes hanging in your closet feel.
Look at that lens from that angle right there, right? Because like this is the main angle, right? So it's with those little doots and deets, you can really tell.
And just a really quick way to do it to where you can get a lens painted up that still has some reflective spots on it and feels like it is shiny without having to really know a whole lot. You can just layer and put a little dot of brightness on it.
That's so great.
You don't have to kill yourself to paint fast and get stuff on the table. And then, if this army has fewer what I would call characters in this realm of game, but you do have big models like this, like big placeholders, like the heavy mechs and even the lighter heavy infantry guys, have got the ability to take point and do some weathering and, treat them like a tank or something like that, as opposed to what we would think of as full character models in general painting. And then we paint stuff like this, which will be a full character model.
That is a great model.
So I feel like we could even get going like tomorrow.
What?
I mean, I feel like I've ridden out. I've finished a guy.
Yeah.
No,
I like it.
I painted a bunch of the unit, and then we've got a guy to where he just needs to be based. And
that's right.
I feel like more of the same is just a waste of everybody's collective time because it's just going to be the same stuff. I'm down to the bits and bobs, but I think we've gone through and shown quite a bit, and you can get some good contrast. It survives the 3-foot test.
It's right. It does survive the 3-foot test.
It gives you some good contrast and lets you see your models pretty well on the table.
And we'll wrap it all into a nice little package for you, chat.
And then we can paint. I'm excited about this, is the reality.
No, that's, hey.
I didn't know, like pulling it out, it's in a bunch of pieces. Like I think this model's like 20 or 30 pieces. Yeah. And as I put it together and as it started coming together, I was like, oh. And then you put another piece on, you're like, oh.
And then you're like, cool model.
Oh, I remember why I fell in love with this model when they sent me the email and said, hey, look what we're coming out with.
Yep.
Because I'm just like, yeah, there's not a Sanguinius model that even rates in the world compared to this one. And
that model is pretty fantastic.
Yeah, it's tremendous.
See, that's why we're practicing what we preach. Do what you want. Make it. Don't listen to Chris ever. Don't paint things that you don't want to paint, chat.
Malev, this is Sanguinius. Yes, this is Sanguinius. We've had like 8 names for him today. Nanduinius. It's Sanguinius. It's Sanguinius.
Sanguinius. That's right.
It's the model Forge World would never make because it doesn't look like Bill Nye the Science Guy. This guy actually looks like somebody I would follow to my death in battle.
It's pretty cool.
He would lead you to glory or to the great beyond, one or the other.
Yeah, it is a dope model.
Yeah. So, and we're going to do the standard bright gold armor. Now we have done our troops with just that dark yellow green base and then up through yellow ochre to get to I think a little bit of burnt orange in there and then yellow ochre to get our golds done, but we'll spend a lot more time on his armor because, again, he's the character. So whereas in the past we've done, very quick non-metallic metal on these guys so that you can get, a good feel for it, but you can also get guys table ready pretty quick. With him, obviously, as the principal character model, we got to spend more time.
Yeah.
Now, in the world where I was thinking that this army could pose as a 40K army too, we painted Dante.
Right.
And we have Dante in a very cool gold, cool temperature-wise, because doesn't have that warmth of the oranges in it.
Yeah.
It's just the greens and purples, and then into the pale yellows and a little bit of yellow ochre in there, which gives it a nice look for the armor. So I don't know yet where I feel like I want Dante to be, because Dante's just like, Sanguinius is bigger Dante.
Yeah.
In this case. And so I think I want to treat them as if they're not similar at all, and I'll just fight the gold on its own. We'll start from scratch, but we'll do it with a different color palette than we did Antonio El Tigre, right? So over here where we did the green and the orange and all of that, we might steal some of that coloring, but I'm feeling maybe some jades and some other cool colors in the gold that we do on Sanguinius. And yeah.
Nice.
It'll be fun. I'm sure it won't take any time at all.
Chat, it's been real.
Gandalf could have taken the ring. What were we talking about?
Oh,
you're gonna get Chris all up in arms.
Here's the thing, chat. We could go for hours on Lord of the Rings. Trust me.
Well, Gandalf knew that he would become horrible with it.
Yes.
As did many of the people along the way. Some of them fell, and some of them decided it was better to not even pretend it existed.
Yep.
I mean, even Tom Bombadil knew that, he wasn't able to really do much with it.
Well,
he acted as if it didn't bother him at all.
Yeah, and it didn't, because he didn't care, right? So people who would care are the ones that would fall to it, and then there's the whole thing of like,
yeah, he was kind of already all powerful. So what does a person that's all powerful need with a ring that isn't as powerful as you are?
That's the number one debate is Tom
They should have
Bombadil.
just given it to Tom Bombadil.
Is Tom Bombadil Eru Iluvatar?
Eru, yeah.
But there's another debate where it's like, no, he's actually Tolkien himself, which is also another cool theory. Is like Tolkien put himself in there, and that is who Tom Bombadil is. But
because he was the singer of stories.
Yeah, like that's him embodied. But
Tom Bombadil.
Tolkien's story is Beren and Luthien. So, but see, chat, this is what happens. I go off. We'll have to have another session for that. Yeah. Ghost
Hunter, 5,424 members of the Deets and Doots delegation in the Discord waiting to see non-bred Gwyneth start to get painted tomorrow.
It's happening, chat.
I love it, little Billy. Everybody. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining us on another lovely stream on this Monday. I hope everybody had a wonderful weekend. Remember, if you're new here, please hit the follow button if you're over on the Twitch Arenos, or the subscribe button if you're watching us on YouTube. We do this 5 days a week, if you can believe that.
5 days.
5 days I have to put up with this man, Christopher.
That's right.
It's non-bread sandwichiness.
Non-bread sandwich.
A non-bread sandwich would be interesting. I love naan, like garlic naan, when I get lamb vindaloo is my jam.
Oh.
So if we go 20 more minutes, you'll talk me all the way until you park. Lumberjack Tim, we're not doing it. Not doing it. Your parking is going to be in silence, my friend.
That's right.
But remember, we stream here 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, from 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. Mountain Standard Time here in Arizona.
Mm-hmm.
So please join us all you can. We love having you here. Great questions. You guys drive all of the wonderful content we do. We got to show you a little bit about tint, tone, and shade today as we got more color on the unit. Mm-hmm. Hopefully you guys have liked that journey of my process of figuring out how to paint, small squads and obviously larger armies the more time you have.
Yep.
Gets them done quick and still looks really good. And then next we'll start on Sanguinius. Yeah. So follow the links that Chris put in chat there. You'll go over to our store, the FLGS link that'll show you stores in your local area or in the country you reside in, where you can also purchase Pro products. We have hundreds of dealers worldwide. So please give us a shot the next time you're looking for some hobby paints, brushes, and all that other stuff on your miniature journey. We'd love to be your supplier of choice, as it were. Thanks for becoming part of our little family and supporting what we do. Stick around. Chris is going to find somebody to raid, so show some love in the chat we wind up in, and we'll catch you back here tomorrow. Adios.